Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a video that's basically a channel introduction, and I wanted to tell my story. Just my story in life and how I got to where I am in life, because I think it's really useful to take a step back sometimes and think about how you got to where you are in life. And that's what I want to do right here, and I want to do it on camera to have this on my channel and just to be as transparent as possible. That way viewers of my channel know who I am, where I came from, and what I'm about. So like I said, this is an introductory video. I'm giving the background on me, and I want to find like-minded people that connect with my story, and I want to form an online network of individuals that support each other and have similar goals. So who am I? My name is Cade. I'm 24 years old. I was born in Rexburg, which is a little town in southern Idaho. After I was born, I lived in Rexburg for a little while before my parents moved to Vancouver, Canada, because my dad's Canadian and I actually have dual citizenship, so I'm Canadian and American, although I only visit Canada occasionally. So I lived in Vancouver for I'm not sure how long because I was a baby, but I ended up moving to Moscow, Idaho, because my mom was attending school there at the University of Idaho. So I grew up in Moscow, Idaho. My parents were divorced when I was 4 years old. So my mom got a new partner, and we ended up moving up to where he lived, which was a place called Moscow Mountain, which is a small little mountain outside of Moscow, Idaho. It was about a half-hour drive to get there. So we lived in the woods. We grew up off the grid. Me and my two brothers. We would do firewood. We would work outside a lot. It was a really good experience. Some parts of it I didn't enjoy during the time, like the hard work and not being able to hang out with my friends like a lot of other people did, but it taught me a lot of valuable lessons in life, and now I really appreciate having that experience growing up. Just living in the woods. I grew up skiing and wrestling. Those were kind of my main hobbies. I started skiing at 4 years old at Silver Mountain, and I had about 10 to 12 season passes there, and I would go a lot, almost every winter weekend, as long as it didn't conflict with wrestling. My family had a house in Kellogg, Idaho, which is where Silver Mountain is. We had a house there that we would rent during the winter, and we would stay weekends there so we could ski. When I was in ninth grade, I started taking wrestling more seriously. I trained year-round for it. I would do folk style at collegiate during the school year, and then I would do freestyle and Greco-Roman in the spring. I was a two-time member of the Idaho national wrestling team, and I represented Idaho at nationals in Fargo, North Dakota twice. I started working full-time when I was about 15 years old. I had a landscaping company that my freshman wrestling coach owned, and I worked 40 to 50-hour weeks during summers until senior year of high school. So I graduated in 2014, Moscow High School. After that, I got a job in a cabinet shop in Moscow, Idaho, and I moved out of my mom's apartment and started living on my own. I moved into an apartment with two buddies. Their names were Jack and David, and that was a big turning point in my life because I was out on my own. I was making my own decisions. I wouldn't say I was fully an adult, but I was getting a taste of what adulthood was like, and paying bills and doing all that, doing my own grocery shopping. After my cabinet job, I worked at the cabinetry place for about, let's say, 4 months or so, give or take. And then I went on to a caregiving job because I quit the cabinetry job. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I went on to a caregiving job in a group home setting for disabled individuals. It was called Milestone Decisions in Moscow, Idaho. And I worked there for about 9 months. And that was a really good experience for me because I think it taught me a lot of patience. It taught me It taught me a lot of things that I wouldn't have normally learned, like just helping. I enjoyed helping people out. I met a lot of good, down to earth people there that I hung out with outside of work and stuff like that. And after that job, I went back into landscaping, and then from there, I went to college a year, like 2 years after graduating high school. I enrolled in the University of Idaho, and I attended that for about 3 semesters before I decided to drop out. And the reason why I dropped out of college is because I realized that going to college was not an authentic action that I would be taking. And I realized this because I had to nearly force myself to do my homework, especially with my math class. I wasn't interested in a lot of the material that was being taught, and I just overall, it just something didn't feel right. And I left college after 3 semesters, as I said. And from there, I also quit the landscaping job that I was working because I got tired of the boss and I just got tired of the way I was being treated there. So I quit that. And the day I quit that job, I was offered a gig fixing up my mom's boyfriend's yard. And that was my first job on my own, basically running my own business. And my little business came to be known as the Yard Artist. And I would post ads in Moscow and Pullman to get jobs. I had a pretty good clientele base there, and I would work at two little farms, one in Moscow, Idaho, one in Colton, Washington, and then I helped fix up a kind of a rundown house in Colfax, Washington. I did some drywall there and just some basic carpentry and painting and drywall finishing. And then when things kind of dried up with the Yard Artist, when I wasn't getting many more when I wasn't getting very many jobs, I ended up taking a carpentry position in Pullman, Washington, and I was part of two major remodels. We built this really cool man cave for a guy. It was awesome, and it took I probably spent a solid 2 months doing that, and then I did some other just kind of random carpentry things with the guy I was working with. But in the middle of the night, one night, I decided to move out of Pullman because I was living with my brother and it was a little bit of a toxic relationship. I was stagnant in Pullman. It's a small town. It's about 30,000 people with the students there. And when the students aren't there, it's a very small and sort of remote town. So I ended up moving to the Tri-Cities. So Richland, Kennewick, Pasco, it's central Washington. And I've lived here for about 2 years. The first thing I did when I moved here was just kind of take a breather because I'd been working really hard all summer, not many days off. I just took a breather, and I ended up getting a job at a restaurant called Three Eyed Fish over here, and I washed dishes for about 2 months. It wasn't what I expected. Dishwashing is actually a very demanding job, and it was high pace, fast paced, high stress, lots of people. I'm a little bit more of an introverted person, so I like my space. I don't like being around a lot of people sometimes. So that job wasn't a great fit for me. I ended up from there switching into another construction job where I would largely do small commercial and residential remodeling and repair, where we actually installed a lot of commercial doors for restaurants, banks, hospitals. And then I worked there probably 7 or 8 months, and then my hours got cut down, and slowly or surely, I could kind of sense they were getting ready to lay me off. So I ended up severing my connection with that job, and I went back into landscaping with what at the time was my girlfriend's brother, and I worked there for I want to say 3 months before I came to the job I'm at now. And I started doing excavation and grading and dirt work with construction machinery, um, underground utilities, subdivisions, and now I've moved on and I'm still in the same company, but I've moved on to doing concrete foundation, and I'm working with two guys that are they've really taken me under their wing, and they're showing me the trade, and I've learned a lot. And at this point, I could almost do the job on my own without any supervision or guidance, and that's the goal I have, is just to completely learn this job. But yeah, we form the footings and then the stem walls, the foundation walls for houses, and then framers come in and we see a lot of houses built. I've been involved with over a dozen houses since I started doing concrete. But yeah, that's just kind of the basic background on me. That's where I'm at right now, really quick. How I got to where I'm at. And like I said, the goal of this channel is just to kind of connect with like-minded people and tell my story and tell you guys what I'm doing, what's working for me, how I'm doing in my business, because the ultimate goal for me is to establish financial freedom, and the way I think it's best to do that is to be most in control of your time and how you spend it. So for me, I want to free up my time, I want to own my own business, and I want to create residual income at some point. So I'm making money whether or not I'm working, like writing a book, making a course, those types of things. Something where you touch it once and you get paid on it forever. I think that's the best way to make money. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video. Um, Stay tuned for more videos because I have some other ideas, and this is just a blooming, it's a baby business right now, but watch, it's going to grow, and I want you guys to be part of the journey. Anyway, thank you.